What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our upcoming weekly Forex forecast and analysis for the upcoming week of February the 3rd through the 7th. Let's get right into it. But before we do that, let's check out the calendar. It's a busy week coming up next week, starting off on Sunday evening, Asia open with the manufacturing PMI numbers out of China. Now listen, the China economy is being greatly affected by the current coronavirus situation. We expect no matter where these numbers come in, that's not as relevant as what the next prints will be. In the morning, US manufacturing PMI numbers. We saw the dollar sell off huge on a big miss out of the Chicago PMI numbers this morning. If that's going to continue, we're going to find out Monday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. We also have rate decision out of the Central Bank of Australia. They're expected to keep rates on hold. Listen, it's going to be really important, the guidance they give. If they talk about being or tilting dovish and upcoming rate cuts, the Australian dollar could possibly depreciate off of it. It's hard to find a reason to see any type of Australian dollar appreciation under this current risk-off environment. What else is on the calendar? We have non-manufacturing ISM PMI numbers Wednesday out of the US, as well as non-farm employment change. And then Friday, we have non-farm employment numbers coming out. So it is a big week ahead. It's a very big week. Be aware if you're taking any trades next week of what the calendar for the pair you're trading is involved. All right, we're going to start this week's Forex forecast off with the dollar index. Very interesting developments. Look, it looks like we're breaking out of this bull flag over here. You can see it. Dollar was super strong all week up until Thursday evening, came off a little bit. And then what you saw right here, I want to drop down to the 8-hour just to give you an idea of what happened. Price was trading right around here when the Chicago PMI numbers were announced on Friday morning, and then price just fell down. So the PMI numbers next week are going to be a big deal. If you look at the DXY right now, a couple of things are happening. First, we are coming into an area of support right now. That's where price closed. We not only also have that, let me zoom in for you. We have this trend line support still in play. And then we have further support down here. These are big levels next week. I think it's really going to depend on two things. First of all, what the manufacturing PMI numbers are on Monday, and then as well as whether or not the dollar becomes a safe haven bid due to unfolding events over the weekend with the escalation of the coronavirus. There are no signs yet that it is peaking and yet under control. Actually, the situation globally is now worsening. All right, here we're looking at the Euro US dollar. Just for reference here, this week, Euro short positions have increased. Now, here's what happened going into Thursday. Price was testing this support. It was a big number to hold, a big support, and it did hold. Had it not held, we could have been testing much lower. The dollar was on the verge of really continuing its breakout. It did hold, however. Now, again, if you drop down, I really want to enforce this into you today. If you drop down over here, the dollar was more or less hanging around this resistance right here until that Chicago PMI, that big PMI, the big miss came into the market, and the dollar really depreciated because of it. The euro has been mildly strong all week. It's been stronger than currencies such as the New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar, and the Canadian dollar. It has, however, been weaker than gold. It's been weaker than the Japanese yen. It's been weaker than the Swiss franc. And for the most part, most of the week, it was weaker than the US dollar. Obviously, it held strong. Listen, this is back into a strong area of resistance. It's all going to be about the PMI numbers on Monday. I think that's the best way to look at this trade. Watch those numbers carefully and also be aware of what happens over the weekend. If the US dollar becomes a safe haven bid on the Asian Open, you are back into resistance now. We came up hot and strong on Friday, all right? And this was an area to take profit. As far as establishing any long positions, if you get above this resistance over here, okay, if you clear above it, and then it comes back and tests the support and holds and price resumes upwards, you get a good a bad PMI number out of the US on Monday. Of course, look to go long the euro versus the US dollar. You have a way up here to target this resistance up at 111,665. That's a nice distance away. It would be a good trade. But right now, just be cautious as we come into this resistance. Understand why this move happened, and let's see what happens next week. All right, let's move over to gold, XAU, US dollar. And the reason that I really want to focus here is, listen, ever since January 1st, ever since the new year, the US dollar up until today has been on a tremendous tear, okay? During that whole period, gold was trading stronger than the US dollar. What does that mean? Two things. If the dollar should come off, if we see further dollar weakness, gold should really break out to new highs over here. If the dollar continues to strengthen, I do believe over an intermediate scale of time, whether that's three months, 6 months, over the next year, gold should continue to outperform the US dollar. Now, as far as looking how to get back into gold, let's drop down to the 8-hour. All right, we had an opportunity off this tested support over here earlier in the week. Listen, the best way to trade gold right now as it's trending strongly is to go ahead and include the true trend indicator. Look for pullbacks of the entry CCI where it's stretched away from the trend, and that's your indication that you could enter as price makes a higher high out of it. You have entry over here. You have another entry over here. All across the board. This is the best way to trade gold right now if you are interested in some short-term trades on gold. I personally think that everyone should consider, especially with what's going on right now, to have gold as a core piece of your portfolio. All right, so definitely look into that when you get the chance if you haven't already. All right, let's take a look right now at WTI Crude Oil. Listen, the reason I want to look at crude with you right now is for two reasons, actually. The first is we're coming down to this pretty critical support over here. Now, I think we're going to break through it. And once we break through this support, we could go much lower. All right, so I want you to be very careful. If anyone's looking to buy off this support, make sure that you have a stop loss and make sure you respect that stop loss. This is definitely a play right now of risk off of the global slowdown. Look, China accounts, 2/3 of China is currently out of commission. China accounts for 20%, 18 to 20% of the entire world GDP. This is going to be affecting the entire world economy. It could send it, it most likely will be sending us into recession. That means a lower demand of oil. We have Libya supply coming online. Be careful over here. It looks like we're going to be seeing much lower oil prices in the weeks and months ahead. I know many of you are interested in looking at the pound as Friday. Today was the Greek exit. Now, we're going to take a look at the pound, but I want you to focus right now on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This is where most of the money was easy to make during this past week. The reason why, this is a risk-off barometer for the market. And right now, we are in big risk-off mode. Look, we were looking really bullish. See this trend line over here? This year-long trend line we've looked at in past episodes many times. Once we broke out, we were positioned as trying to catch the bottom of this trend here. We were positioning long, and it looked like the reason why was we were going to see some reprieve after the phase one China deal in the global markets. All right, things have changed drastically since. What do I mean by that? We've since come back in, we've taken out this support of this trend line. We've taken out this big support over here at 73.38, and now we're resting and closing right now on this support of 72.47. I think we're going to gap open lower. I really do think we're going to gap open lower here. Listen, it's huge risk off right now. The global economy is definitely going to be affected by China being shut down. There's no one on the streets in Shanghai. There's no one on the streets in Beijing. You have over between 44 and 50 million people who are completely quarantined off. There's no movement between cities. Flights are being closed down in and out of China. This is going to have some big consequences on the global market. Just be very careful here. Now, how to trade this? Again, I believe we gap open lower here. That was the play this past week. Look, this is how you play this. The same thing we just looked at on gold. Add the true trend. If you don't have the true trend added to your chart, go ahead to indicators, search for true trend. Go ahead and add true trend, Conquer Trading Investing. That's our YouTube channel right there, obviously. And go ahead and look for these pullbacks. Now that we're in a strong trending market, look for the pullbacks of the entry CCI. That's your opportunity to know that, listen, price is overbought in a strong downtrend. And as price resumes out of that downtrend, that's your trade. It's a pretty easy environment to be trading in. I want you to be able to take advantage of it. Look, there are pairs that are strong right now, right? It is first gold. It is second, the Japanese yen. Third, the Swiss franc. Fourth, the US dollar. The euro and the pound are mixed. They're relatively strong. They're moderately strong. The weak currencies are the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the Canadian dollar. Play the strong currencies versus the weak currencies. That's where you're going to make your money in this environment. All right, let's take a look now at the pound US dollar. The pound has been on fire ever since Thursday morning when the Bank of England stayed on hold. This is actually right here when they went on hold, and you could see the strong pop up. This was Thursday, price consolidated, holding above this broken resistance over here. Let me extend that out for you. All right. And then since today, this is Greek exit day. Price has taken out this big resistance over here and is closing at or near the highs. Up into this resistance, though, you see this trend line resistance? This trend line resistance that I have here has been a very important point going back very far, and price closed right at it. Listen, I know a lot of people are very bullish the pound US dollar. I would not be surprised if we sold off on the open here. This could be a sell the news type event. Obviously, I don't know. And anyone who is long the pound US dollar the last couple of days, fantastic trading. I'm just here to offer my insight, to try to help you, to try to make sure that you stay on the right side of the market. We got some nice supply overhead up in here so that we could get past this resistance over here. Obviously, very, very, very possible. But we did close. I have horizontal resistance as well as this trend line resistance. We closed right at it. Listen, you have support back down here. If we do trade off, watch how this support reacts. Extend this trend line right here. Okay. Watch how price reacts when it comes back down to this support. If it holds this support, assuming we come back down here and test it, if it holds this support and then retraces up, all right, take a look at the long side now that we've cleared this important resistance here. Look at this. Big resistance. We cleared it on Friday. Now, if we do break below this support, though, and take out this trend line, we could be trading lower. There's going to be volatility ahead on the pound. You have to understand that the negotiations with the EU are just beginning. They're to end. Basically, the last negotiation is by the end of December 2020, which sets the table for January 2021. They're going to come off. The EU is going to come off with hard negotiations to begin, as well as is the UK. Expect volatility going forward. We're going to become very data dependent right now. If the data does not come in here, the Bank of England is going to move towards cutting rates. That's going to get priced in really quickly. And remember, things are not looking good. If things are not looking good for China, and if things are not looking good for the US, things are going to be difficult for Europe. All right. So anyone who made some good money this week, great job. Now make sure you protect your trade and just be aware of what could happen going into Monday. All right. So I just really want you to focus on now going into next week. Be aware of what's going on. Let's see if the coronavirus situation continues to escalate or finally peaks. But right now, be focused on that risk-off theme. Be trading the strong currencies, gold, the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, the US dollar versus the weak currencies. Don't trade them against the pound. Don't trade them against the euro. Trade them against the New Zealand dollar. Trade them against the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar. Now, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please do take a moment now and go ahead and do so. I really think it's going to benefit you. We have some fantastic videos put out every day. Monday through Friday, we live stream and give an updated analysis of the market. We have an amazing community, some really, really awesome people. Everyone has been trading very well. Everyone has been offering excellent insight. If you are interested in Bitcoin, please go ahead and watch this video. It is one of the best videos you will see on Bitcoin. If you're looking to learn how to begin as a beginner strategy, a very easy and profitable strategy, check out this one right here on the popular uploads. This is a complete system shared beginning to end, and it will help anyone who's not yet able to make a profit in the markets. Go ahead and do so. This is a video on the true trend we were talking about in this video. If you're not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. If anyone has the opportunity, wants to add any insight, please go ahead in the comments below. You all know I always respond to them. Have a great week, everyone. I look forward to sharing more with you. I'll talk to you later.